Good morning. It's Amy Oct here with Chat with Amy, my weekly Facebook Live show. And if you're joining me for the first time, I always want to make sure I mention this. If you're joining me for the first time, then I do this weekly Facebook Live Chat with Amy on Thursdays at 9 a.m. Pacific. And it's all about learning how to deeply connect with yourself, your vision, and your audience so that you can make the impact and the income you've always wanted, and using the power of deep connection to do that. And one of the things that so many people have been asking me about, I say so many, I should have 3 to 4 people, but it all seems like these questions always come up in a series. And then to me, it reflects what a lot of people are thinking about, is how to keep my energy high and how to stay focused on a daily basis in order to keep moving towards my bigger vision. And especially having come back recently from, a whirlwind 2-week trip that had a lot of back-to-back trainings and a speaking engagement and emceeing a big event. It really was a whirlwind of a trip. And then I came home, and then I went right into, a full week of coaching and training. And I felt great. Yeah, I really felt great throughout the whole experience. And so often I've heard people ask me these questions over the years, and then a handful of people in the last few days, about how do you keep your energy high when you have so much on your plate, or when you've come back from a big trip like that. Like, how do you just do that? So I want to take a moment to say hi to Megan and Tanya. If you're joining me live, go ahead and say hello where you're from, and I want to say hello to you as well. So so I want to share some of my secrets behind how I do that. And it's something that I used to not do very well. And I used to be one of those people who was always like, work. And then if I'm tired or exhausted, I'm just like, I should just power through it and not listen to my body. And I would literally work myself into the ground where I would get sick, like it seemed like once a year I would get sick, knock on wood right now, right? I would get sick, and I thought that I was fine, but I wasn't fine, and I wasn't listening to my body, and I wasn't taking the time for self-care or rest. And so my conscious mind was like, you can totally do it. Just rock it out, crush it, power through. And then on a subconscious level, my body's like, you need to take care of yourself. And if you don't decide to do this, then I'll decide to do this. I'm going to take you down, and it's not going to be fun. So one of the things is I really listen to my body now. I listen to my body. And even this past weekend, I did have the mindset of some things I wanted to accomplish, because I'm just like I'm like on the go. Like, that's who I am, right? So I always like to be productive. And at the same time, my body said, this is your time to take some time off, take an actual weekend where you're not doing all these things, or even if I'm working from home, on my laptop. And so I listened to my body, and I thought, I'm actually going to take a real weekend, like a relaxing weekend. And it was the best thing I could have done. Like I took a nap on Saturday. I went for a walk with my dog. I went on Netflix and actually watched like a few episodes of the first season ever of Friends, even though I watched it back in the day. But there was something really like cozy and calming about watching this show I used to love. And it was just so great to just take some time and be in my yoga pants all weekend and not worry about like anything that could be, put on my plate for this week. And by doing that, instead of letting myself get completely depleted, because I knew I was running on probably off of low fuel at that point. And I knew that if I didn't take that time, then I would be dragging this week. Hey, Janine. Hey, Alora. Awesome. Yes, self-care. Yeah, I see Ling. Hi, Ling. And so that's one of the things, is just really listening to my body. The other thing that I've heard from some of the introverts in my group of clients and colleagues who have said to me, they know that I'm more of an extrovert. And even as an extrovert, I'm with people all the time, which I love. But even as an extrovert, I get to a point where I'm like, okay, I just need to have some quiet time, some alone time, some me time. Or even if I'm with someone that I'm really close with, like Ken or one of my best friends, where it's just really chill and laid back, I need that time too. So especially for introverts, and one of my oldest brother is also an introvert. So I really have learned a lot about that way of needing to have that downtime. So whether you're an introvert or extrovert, I just believe in having that downtime to get replenished and rejuvenated. And so in that case, it's all about calendar blocking. And maybe some of you already do this, but when I look at my schedule, I know myself. I know that, for example, by late Friday afternoon, at some point I just need to cut off like being on calls and being online and being, with people, if that makes sense. And because I get to a point where I'm like, I just need to take a break. I just need to really go do something different, go get a much needed manicure, or again, just get some fresh air, or go for a walk or a run. And it just helps me to just be like totally within integrity of alignment of my body and my being. Does that make sense? Hey, Anita. She says, hi, Amy, met you at the Zone event. Yeah, awesome. The Zone event was so fun. I still feel like I'm in that post-event high after the Zone event and my mastermind. Like, it's just, I love when, okay, this is another thing that keeps me energized, right? Speaking of energy, is I surround myself with the people I want to be influenced by, so that I can consistently let go of any limiting beliefs or anything that's holding me back, so I can keep that energy going towards my bigger vision. And what I noticed is that whether we like it or not, we are influenced by the people we spend the most time with. So the more I've spent time with people who are just on a heightened consciousness level and have really positive energy, and they still are vulnerable. They share with me when they're going through a hard time, but they're not going to let that hard time dictate who they are and how they show up in the world. Hey, Dagmar. Awesome. Hey, Paul. Oh, Paul says, I need this. Yes. So do you see what I'm saying? So this is a good chance to really like take a step back and think about, who do I surround myself with, and who do I allow influence who I am being or how I show up in life. And it's not about letting go of friendships or anything like that, but just deciding how much time are you letting certain people influence you. Does that make sense? I don't know if it's coming out right. So for example, going to the Zone event, I know some of you were there. I was surrounded by such high energy, really high energy. And then being able to speak on the stage and be amongst the other speakers and really inspiring entrepreneurs. I mean, that energy, I carry it with me. Like I've been able to enjoy the wonderful feeling after that event, and also staying connected with people. So I would love for you to post any questions you have below. My Chat with Amy weekly live is also an opportunity for you to ask me any questions that you want to in your business. So if there's any area that you're struggling, whether it's with your marketing messaging, for your sales conversations, building a team, like whatever is coming up for you, go ahead and type your question below. I always love to serve you any way that I can. And then in regards to energy, the other piece of it is I noticed that I go through kind of ups and downs when it comes to exercise. I hate to admit that, but I'm just going to be vulnerable and transparent about that. And so, of course, I never regret working out. I always feel energized after a great workout. And when I'm consistently active, I'm in a much better place. And that's something I get to bring back into my life, because the last couple weeks, it just has not been happening. Like, I'll go for walks with my dog, but I definitely feel better when I'm training for an endurance race or just having more exercise in my life. Hey, Kim. Oh, yay, Kim Cooper, one of my favorite people on the planet. So hi, Barbara. So why don't you post below, like, you can post either a question you have for me, or what is a way that you stay energized on a daily basis. Another tip is, if ever I'm feeling the O word, which I don't like to use, overwhelmed, I always think to myself, okay, if I'm feeling this feeling of overwhelm or stress, then it's just related to not being prepared and not being committed. And this is something I learned from Suzanne Evans, super inspiring woman. So if I'm feeling that way, instead of powering through, I take a moment, or I take 5 to 10 minutes to regroup, and I think about, okay, why am I feeling stressed out? Why am I feeling stressed? Like, I have no reason to feel stressed. It's in my head, and I'm not going to get caught up in this feeling that is going to take me off my A game. So if that's coming up for me, what I do is I bring, and I know I've mentioned this before, for some of you who know me for a while, I'll grab one sheet of paper and I'll just write out what gets to happen between now and the end of the day. Like what gets to happen, and I think about what is in line with my bigger vision. And then I even think about, what would I feel really good about if I accomplished this task today? And then I just decide that that is going to happen today. And I even make it a priority in terms of when I'm going to do it. Janine says, just starting PACE in November. What should I be doing now to get ready? Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so for those of you who don't know about PACE Club, it's a really great program that I went through in 2014 with Shanda Sumter and Jean Marie Bills. And so in order to get ready, I would just really start thinking about, what is the movement that I want to create in this world? What am I passionate about? I think so often, when people are getting started in entrepreneurship, there's just a lot going on in the head. Like I remember being so busy in my head, like, oh my gosh, I got to figure out this and this and this and this and this. And then instead, just once again, taking a step back, looking at the big picture and asking myself or asking yourself, what is the movement I want to create in this world? What difference do I want to make in this world? And that is a question I love to come back to all the time, because instead of me getting caught up in my mindset around just wanting to grow my business, or when I used to be really stressed in my business, like, oh, I've got to find clients, I need, like that was coming from a place of lack and scarcity. So the energy that I was putting out in the world was not ideal for really building a wonderful business that's purpose driven. So instead of getting caught up in my head, I would think about, how can I make the biggest difference in the world? How can I be of service to others? And then instead of focusing on any limiting belief inside, I was focusing on, and continue to be focused on, how can I be in service and make a difference? So that's what I would do. Whether you're getting ready for PACE Club or just recommitting to a vision or gaining clarity on that, that's what I would do. Okay, other great questions here. Okay, let's see. Laura, I've been so stressed due to the fires here. Yeah, I know you're in California. I've been too distracted to work/focus. I've been completely overwhelmed having the fire so close to my home. This has been my stress, losing my home and loved ones. Laura, my heart goes out to you. I've been hearing about, people just like you and friends of friends who've lost homes, who've lost animals. My heart goes out to you. And when things like that happen in life, whether it's by nature or in your personal life, when a tsunami happens, and you're like, I know that Kate Crow, who I've worked with in my mastermind in the past, she talks about when a personal tsunami happens in your life. So whether it's from Mother Nature or not, really allowing yourself to go within and allow yourself to process whatever you need to process. So when I've gone through difficult times in my life, well, I haven't gone through what you're going through, Laura, but when I have gone through difficult times in my life, whether it was going through losing my mother or going through a divorce, I really took some time to myself in order to allow myself to feel the feelings and allow myself to process the emotions and allow myself to get support in order to get to the other side of it. And that is something that I feel so strongly about, because if we do ignore it or suppress it or power through it, then it doesn't go away. It just becomes a part of our being. I think sometimes we suppress something and we don't even realize we're suppressing it. And if we haven't processed it, it will come out in some way, shape, or form at some point in life, whether it's an illness or depression or what have you. So, I'm so passionate about business. And at the same time, when I've gone through a difficult time, I've really gotten focused with my calendar. So I would still carve out, even if it was a couple of hours a day, to work on my business. Not because I felt like, oh, I must power through my business, but those were the only hours of the day that I actually felt like my life was normal. You know what I mean? Like I remember when I was going through my mom being in the hospital, and I didn't have my own business then, but it was like I had my own book of business for a magazine that I used to work for. And unfortunately, I was able to, work from anywhere at that time as well. So while I spent all this time at the hospital, I just had my laptop with me, and at least a couple of hours every day, I would, whether I was in my mom's hospital room or if I was in the lobby, I would just focus on my clients, and I would focus on what made me feel good and normal, and like, okay, even if the world feels like it's crashing around me, this is one area that I still feel like I can be generous, I can give, I can serve, I can, make a living and whatnot. So I don't know if that helps, Laura, but that was something that really helped me. And then the rest of the time I focused on being there for my family and processing and going to counseling and crying and talking to friends and just allowing myself to really go through the experience of it all. Part of this human being experience is pain. And at the same time, it doesn't mean that pain has to be considered, bad. I think we've come up with these words of good and bad, or right or wrong, or positive or negative. And a friend of mine, after my mom passed, he just said, what if we stripped away all of those words and just looked at it as an experience instead of a bad experience? And there might be some resistance for some of you who are listening to me right now. I used to have resistance to this as well. However, it really helped me in my healing process, because instead of looking at everything in the loss of my mom as a horrible, tragic, awful thing, instead I was able to say, okay, wow, that was an experience that I had in my life. It was quite an experience. And then I thought about what I learned from that experience. And, it was after all of that loss and pain and all of that I really dug deep and said, okay, what am I doing with my life? What do I want? What is my vision? What is the movement I want to create in this world? And what are the steps that I can start taking to get there? So anyway, not to go down such a deep road, but you know me, I can't be surface. So my heart goes out to you, Laura, and to any of you who are affected by anything that's been happening in the world, from, of course, the hurricanes and what happened in Vegas. I mean, there's a lot energetically happening right now. So for me, I just think about how, as someone who is committed to being a source of light and love and compassion and just inspiration, that I think about how I still have a duty in this world to serve in that regard. And if I stop, then the balance of what's happening with all this energy around so much pain, there's no balancing out of it, if that makes sense. I mean, it's horrific. I mean, I am going to use that word horrific about like things that happened in Vegas, and I know there's been other just news that's been happening. So anyway, on that note, I'm sending love to all of you who've been affected by any of it. Megan, the to-do list never ends. So let's shift over to a lighter note. On a lighter note, Megan says, the to-do list never ends as an entrepreneur. How do you know when to hustle and when to invest in a great system or help and advice? Well, I agree. There's always more to do. I also notice that we tend to think that we have to do everything today. So sometimes I'll take my clients to an exercise where if they have a lot going on their head, I'm like, do a brain dump and get it all out on one piece of paper. Like if you end up with 20 or 100 things, write it, just get it all out. Just get it all out of you. And then get a highlighter and look at each line item on this list and ask yourself, what absolutely, without a doubt, needs to happen today? Like what actually needs to be happening today? And then they highlight it. And I always ask them, out of those 1 million things, how many things did you highlight that absolutely have to be done today? And it's so funny when I hear them say, 1, or 3 or 5. And so that's a really great exercise to do. And then as far as knowing when to hustle and when to invest, I listen to my body. I'm definitely someone who likes to continue to have a forward momentum, and I love the journey of it all, and I'm excited about what I'm up to in the world. And I constantly and consistently invest in guidance and support. I have a great coach. I invested in a lot of leadership trainings this past year with Ascension Leadership Academy and then the PhD leadership program. And even though it was a lot on my plate, I knew that this year was a year that I really wanted to stretch. So that's another thing you can think about, Megan, is this year a stretch year, or is this a year for really focusing on sustainability or improving systems and streamlining processes? I feel like each year is a little bit different. Like this year's definitely been a stretch year. And even though next year I also have a big plan for taking my business to a whole new level, I'm also taking things out that are no longer working for me. Like one thing that's not working for me is that I'm on way too many calls. And so there's things that I'm shifting in the structure of my business and what I'm offering in order to not be on as many calls, so I can do the things that I also am committed to doing in terms of being on big stages next year and writing a book. So it's just about asking yourself, like, what's working for me and what's not working for me, and where do I get to go from here? Tanya says, how do you deal with tasks taking longer than you thought and getting physically wiped out from it? That's a great one, Tanya. So I do my best to really continuously get better at estimating how long something's going to take. And if something's a really big project, then I'll think about like, what's the big project and what are all the little tasks that need to happen beneath it? And then next to each task, I write down how much time I estimate it's going to take. And if it takes longer, then, okay, what am I gonna do about that? Well, of course, there'll be something that gets put off till tomorrow. And then I'll continuously check in with myself. Like, maybe I should give myself a buffer next time I take on this type of project, so I give myself plenty of time instead of too little of time. And then just making sure I'm getting enough sleep. Also the power of delegation. One thing that I've been doing over the last couple of years is building a team beneath me. And I say beneath, but really I feel like we're all like together. It's not a hierarchy. So just building a team to work alongside me, and also learning to let go of control and delegating. And that's an ongoing process for me. Hey, Karima, thanks for joining. You're welcome, Janine. Laura's Wayne, Irvin Miller. I do my best to refuse to let anything steal my joy. I try to concentrate on the good things. Yes. So this morning, I had a group accountability call with some of my colleagues. And then I was like excited. I'm always excited to jump on Facebook Live with all of you. It's so fun. So I just had like, a music party. Like I was like, I'm just gonna play some great music and get ready and think about what I want to say, what topics I want to cover in this call or in this video. And I just believe in bringing joy to your life every single day to the best of your ability. So music is a really great way, obviously. And I just keep it easy. I got my little, Bose speaker here. and I just play my favorite Pandora stations, and I just really love it. Yes, you're welcome. Alora, I did go ahead and do my live webinar last weekend. I had 12 people, went so well. I think being vulnerable and real really helped showing my authenticity. Yeah, so Alora, just kind of going back to when you're going through a hard time, you can use that in your storytelling to show that side of vulnerability, which is what it sounds like. That's what you did. Awesome. Kim says to Megan, check out my bullet journal. I'll show you mine. Helpful for prioritizing. Yes. Okay, awesome. Hey, Molly. Megan says, can it be both, feel stretchy and focused? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, Megan, and for all of you, I just think about how every single day is like a precious day of your life. Like every single day is life. So if this was my one day that I got to live, how would I live it? And if I'm stuck in a mindset of I'm exhausted, I'm tired, I'm stressed, I just take ownership of that. I'm like, okay, well, I ask myself the question, or I talk to somebody about it so I can get some support. And I ask myself the question, like, what's really coming up for me? Is it really that I'm tired? If I'm tired, then I need to get some rest. And if I need to get some rest, it's time to either take a nap or look at my day and then end it at a certain point work-wise and really have some downtime. Like where you're not on social media, where you're not on your phone or your laptop, like actually having some like just alone time and downtime. Does that make sense? But then I get re-energized pretty quickly because I'm so passionate about what I'm doing. And then if I'm feeling low, then I re-enroll myself in my own vision. So for example, I know some of you have heard me start to talk about Powerhouse, right? So I've created my most exciting offering I've ever had, right? So it's a 90-day group mastermind of powerhouse women entrepreneurs that's going to culminate. So we're going to get on a call every single week, a group call on Zoom, and then that's kicking off in late November. So November, December, January, and then in February, we're all fly out to this 5-day, 4-night retreat on Captiva Island in Florida, this beautiful house on the ocean. So as I start thinking about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so fun. Obviously, Megan, you're gonna be there, right? And we're gonna have workouts in the morning, we're gonna have delicious food and healthy, just a healthy experience with it all. And then my clients get access to me for coaching, we're gonna get work done, we're gonna mastermind, and we're just gonna have so much fun. I'm gonna have Olga Plastino there doing photography. So as I start thinking about the actual experience that I'm creating, not just for myself and my clients, but also for something that I see as an ongoing opportunity, just seeing how it goes, I'm so excited. Like I'm so excited. Like, and I start to look at, the videos again of the place that we're going to. I've never been there, but I just think like, why not create something amazing? So if you're not feeling energized in your business, then it's time to either re-enroll yourself in what you're already offering, or take a step back and look at what's not working for you. You know, if what has not been working for me is I've spent too much time behind my laptop this year and on the phone, and I miss being with people in person. So I'm like, okay, if that's what's missing for me, then I get to take responsibility for that and create something that gets me so fired up and so excited, I can't help but talk about it. And what's happened is that even when I first started talking about it with colleagues and friends, they would literally interrupt me when I was just telling them about what I'm excited about. They're like, Amy, I'm in. I'm like, what? I wasn't even trying to enroll you. And they're like, no, I want to go. I need to be a part of this. I'm like, awesome. I didn't even have like anything set up yet. It was just a vision initially, but I knew I was going to make it happen. Okay, just checking here on the time. Karima says, that's good. Stretch year or time for systems and sustainability. Yeah, awesome. Hey, Laura. So yeah, does anyone have any final questions? I'll probably wrap it up here in just about a minute. But if you have any questions about your business or how to stay focused and energized, I mean, I have all sorts of different ways that I stay focused and energized. The other thing is I put things up in my office around like what I'm working on. And so at any given time, I can look up at these big, huge Post-its and, you know, I'm focusing on Powerhouse and who am I connecting with and who's decided to join me. So I get excited about the people that I'm going to surround myself with in this program. I think about the visions they've shared with me. So like, I always think about it as being this really connected experience with the people that I get to work with. So yeah, is this helpful? If this is helpful, show some love, give me some hearts. I just want to know that this is a helpful topic for everybody. And if you have any other questions, do let me know and comment below. Awesome. Just reading your comments. I love reading all your comments. Oh, the other thing too is, you know, again, reaching out for support. If you're struggling, definitely reach out for support and think about who you're reaching out to. Like, if ever I'm feeling stuck, I think about who can I reach out to that will help me get unstuck and not enable me. Like sometimes if I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this thing because it sounds, you know, uncomfortable or stretchy or whatever, I won't reach out to the person who'll say, oh, take the pressure off, Amy. You don't need to do that. You know, just take some time. I'm going to go to the person that's going to stand for my vision, you know? So that's another thing to think about. Tanya says, tips on putting a course together. Okay, I could do a whole other call on that, but as a quick answer, Tanya, when I'm putting a course together, I don't map out every single module ahead of time, because if it's a live course, and I don't know if you're talking about a live course or an automated course, I'm just a big fan of live courses. So I can have engagement and interaction, make sure that I'm flexing with the people I'm helping. But if it's a live online course or in-person course, I put together an overview and an outline of what's going to happen within the course. And then I leave room for flexibility because every group program I've ever led has had a common thread of what people need more of within that program. So for example, last year, it seemed like my clients that were in my Coaching Masters Academy were needing more help on sales conversations. And this year, while I think there's always room for improvement with sales enrollment conversations, they've needed more help with their marketing messaging and really getting dialed in on what they want to become known for. So we've spent more time on that. So initially come up with an overview and outline some bullet points of the benefits of what people will receive as a part of it, as well as some of the key things that you will be teaching in the course, and then leaving room for flexibility. Awesome. Okay, on that note, I will wrap this one up. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you have any big ahas or takeaways, I'd love for you to comment them below. Also, if you think this would be helpful for people in your circle, if you could share it, just click on the share button. And then whenever you share something, go ahead and put a personal note to it, because I think sometimes we share things and then the people that are seeing are like, oh, I don't even know what this is. So if you're able to put a personal note of why you think somebody else should watch this, that would be great. So thank you, everyone. Have a great rest of your day. And remember, I do this Chat with Amy Facebook Live every Thursday at 9 a.m. Pacific, unless I'm traveling. So you can go ahead and book it in your calendar, and just know that I will always be happy to answer your questions, provide some free coaching, provide inspiration, and I just love connecting. All right, talk to you soon. Mwah. Bye.